What's good, everyone, man? I got my boy Gibson on the line, man. We just saw one of the worst, not even one of the worst, the worst bubble game the whole time. Worse than any other blowout in the scrimmage. Uh, the worst loss, probably in the NBA. That was complete bull crap. Gibson, tell me what you thought about the game, man.
There's so many people to blame. Like, there's so much bullshit that happened in that game. Derrick Favors, Alvin Gentry, the way Alvin Gentry sat down Bi, Lonzo being just meh, like not even really pushing. Each one more just being in the game. I don't know. Just man. Gigi, you gotta go because I just you gotta explain it, man. Because man, my head is all around. Just man.
Yeah, I got this, bro. The Pelicans were a disgrace to basketball today. Let me repeat that. The Pelicans were a disgrace to basketball. Not only did they not have good ball movement, they were playing too much iso ball. Zion looked out of shape, lethargic on defense. A lot of players not trying. Lonzo was not assertive. You know, I'm one of the biggest Lonzo Ball fans, but I'm objective. It just with Lonzo, everything has to go right for him. And when things don't go right, you know, everybody moping around, body language is pathetic. This team does not need to play in the bubble. They're an embarrassment to the NBA, and they play like crap.
DJ, you remember that open pass, like that open shot Lonzo could have easily taken, and he just tried to pass through the red to Derrick Favors, who was also
I saw that.
That was stupid.
Passive.
Man, but I think the biggest sin of this game was when they were down by 11 in the first. And Alvin Gentry thinks it's smart to sit down Jrue, Bi, and Lonzo at the same time. I was like, what is he doing? And then Bi, Brandon Ingram, their best scorer, sits down for about 30 minutes. Then when he brings them back in, he has them play with each one more.
Mm-hmm.
That whole rotation crap Alvin Gentry got going on, I'm just done with. I don't like watching Alvin Gentry coach. I watched 2 basketball games beforehand, like the Utah Jazz versus the Nuggets, and at least, I mean, yeah, they were. Hold up, sorry. Damn, the Heat versus the Nuggets. Man, I'm so upset. I'm getting these things messed up, but. The Nuggets were out of shape and they were looking bad, but it was cohesive basketball at least. Like, the Pelicans were looking out of shape and it wasn't looking cohesive, DJ. It was all over the place. Lonzo sticking to the corner, just not even being a point guard. Jrue Holiday being the point guard, which leads to more turnovers, like usually. And, oh my gosh, man.
Man, what did I say before the scrimmage just started?
You said it was a blow.
Yeah, I said that if Alvin Gentry does not play the starters adequate minutes and try to prepare them for the bubble play, then they're going to have a bad outcome out of these seeding games. And I've been right so far. So for those who's listening, just know when I say something, that means I watch film and I analyze. I don't say anything just to get a reaction or get a hot take.
True.
And I gotta thank you, Gibson, man. You're one of the few people who actually listen to me. And I listen to you on your takes as well because we know basketball.
Yeah, man. But you know what? I think the biggest problem in that whole game, and I know people won't say it, is Derrick fucking Favors. He's been the problem for this team for like a few games this season. The beginning of the season and even like some games where everyone says, well, he's really good at defense. Here and there. But most of the time it looks like he's playing with cement in his shoes. He moves very slow. He can't get offensive or defensive rebounds for you. The guards usually have to work to get that for him. He can't, like, lateral movement for him is like horrible. He plays like Miles Plumlee, except Miles Plumlee's a better passer, sort of. Like, he is a bench player. And they don't have a big. They just don't. Nicolo Melli is not, he's a guy who can shoot and he's tall. That's it. I don't know, man. That's their biggest problem. It's because at least they get rebounds. They can't even get rebounds, man.
It's freaking sad, man. This is what I say. The bubble is a man's game because the difficulty of getting your body right, staying in shape. When I watched the Miami Heat was in tip top shape.
Yeah, they
They
were just
played like a team that you forget they had quarantine and had to deal with all the pandemic stuff that we all deal with.
yeah. Jimmy Butler wasn't even shooting threes. He was just scoring, getting to the layup line, just getting his buckets. And Duncan Robinson, man, he was shooting threes all around, and he's also got better playmaking. That team was working like a cohesive machine because they have a actually good coach who knows how to use them. And I'm gonna say I think people keep praising who's the David Griffin.
Yeah, David
People
Griffin.
need to stop praising him. That whole thing that was built was awful in the get go. I remember bringing that up. People were praising him, and I'm like, first of all, they didn't get rid of Okafor. That was already a problem. Everyone knew about last year. They didn't get rid of Alvin Gentry. They literally, people, their own fan base said they'd get him fired. They didn't get rid of Frank Jackson. I mean, well, he was young, but just a few of these players were already, like, none of these players were good, and we kept them. And they're on the bench. And now it's not like Toronto where Toronto you could sit your best starters and still have starting caliber players. No, you have bums, fucking bums. Yeah.
Yeah, they're bums, man, and a lot of players that don't even match with the starters.
It,
If you're making a trade to get Bi and Lonzo exchange for AD, why can't you just add players that fit their game? D and three players.
I,
Like, makes no sense.
you know what I really think it was? They really didn't think about Bi and Lonzo. They thought about Zion, and you could even see it on the way they play them. Like there's sometimes where I'm like, Bi is obviously hot. Like I remember he was coming back in the second, and he was just scoring and scoring and scoring. And then they decided to get away from him and have Jrue Holiday dribble the fucking ball out of the air, and then Etwan Moore somehow taking like floaters. And I'm like, why is Etwan Moore taking floaters? And these things happen too often. You know, DJ, like they happen too often. Like you remember last game when they were playing against the Jazz, and I'm like looking, why is Bi not taking control of the floor? What's going on? This is my problem with this team. They don't know who their star player is, and they still and Zion. I don't know what the hell is going on with him. He's out of shape all the time, all of the time. You'd think that he'd probably try to get in shape, but no.
Yeah, what is wrong with the brother Zion, man? He looked like Sherman Klump on the court. Just out of shape, not sprinting back on D, not being able to switch.
He got
And
rebounding, which is like crazy.
it's like the whole roster of the Pelicans did not prepare their mind mentally, their bodies, and to be in tip top shape in their game. I'm looking at them playing. I said, what was they doing this quarantine? They got all that free time, and you couldn't work on your game.
Man, I don't. Oh man. And you know what? I'm gonna say this. I don't think it's because Lonzo being lackluster. Yes, I think Lonzo has to shoot well. I always notice that when Lonzo shoots threes, he always has a good game. Always. When he starts shooting like a bunch of threes, then he does a bunch of other stuff. That's what I've noticed. But I'm gonna say this: the big difference between LaMelo and Lonzo is that LaMelo has handles. That has always been the biggest difference. Because you always notice Lonzo's kind of thinking when he gets to the 3-point line how to like get past his opponent. He has to look down at the ball. He's slowly moving around. Lamelo's more fluid with the ball. That's what I've always noticed. That's why it's hard for like Lonzo to get layups because he's always overthinking while trying to get to the layup.
Yeah, and the one thing about LaMelo Ball to take account, and this is not us just gloating LaMelo Ball over his brother. We have when the NBL season started, me and you were very critical of LaMelo, and
Yeah.
rightfully so. He did things right, and when he did things wrong. So I don't want to hear anybody talking about, oh, we're just trying to say that LaMelo's better. It's a fact. LaMelo's handle and his shot creativity and his mindset to get his is what you need to survive in the NBA. Because a game like this, what do you see from LaMelo when his teams are playing bad? You see him go all out.
Yeah, especially on an inefficient. You even notice this, DJ. Like he could be inefficient for the whole night, and then out of nowhere at the fourth, he just turns out of nowhere, starts shooting, passing, turns it up. In the fourth, he tries to win the game all the time, and that's why I see the difference. Like, yes, Lonzo might be more efficient on paper, but this is like you said, DJ. It's important to watch the games because you start noticing this shit. Like Lonzo's a great catch and shoot kind of player, like who needs someone to pass the ball, then he shoots, or like you never notice he dribbles off like to make a shot. No, I don't know. He just seems like a point guard that's very stationary sometimes. Like like, and it's annoying to see it because I know he could do better, but like I keep watching him sort of play off Jrue, staying in the corner, and I understand it's a play, but I just feel like he's not like a Ja where you see Ja like even if Ja's not a better scorer or a better defender, Ja will take it into his own hands and start doing crazy shit with the ball, like or try to get a pass by like a pick and roll. I don't know. It's just there's a lot of differences. Like I think the only thing that holds Lonzo back is his temperament in the game. It's not his skill. I think it's his temperament.
Yeah, Sweatbox messaged me like a visible one on the timeline and said that he believes that if Lonzo plays with his brother, his game will flourish. Do you think that's true, or think he needs another team, or what's your opinion on that?
I I don't want that. I don't want that for both brothers because I think yes, in high school version it worked well because the outlet passes and it allowed for Lonzo to kind of play off the ball a little bit like how he plays with Jrue. But I don't know if that would work well. I don't know. I'm not gonna act like I'm an expert on that. I just don't know.
I get what you're saying, especially with the history of the Ball brothers playing together, and that would make news and all that. But deep down in my mind, I just want LaMelo to have his type of team. Like
Yeah.
if he gets drafted by the Pistons and he's surrounded by shooters like Luke Kennard, Sweeping Akalu, has Derrick Rose as a six man. He's been doing that last year, by the way. Has a
Yeah.
veteran coach, Dwayne Casey,
Yep.
Blake Griffin, year off. He's going to be
Yep.
back. Sekou, the French guy that kind of reminds me of Spicy P, aka Siakam.
Yeah.
That's a team I want LaMelo to play on.
I would. You know what's crazy? I keep going back and forth with this. Pistons and the Knicks are the top ones because the Knicks could get any player they want. They have
Yeah,
enough cap space. Then they could draft a person at 27. They can get new players who can spread the floor, and they actually have a really good center who can jump and who can move laterally and is really good at defending the perimeter, something that Lonzo doesn't have, which is already enough.
absolutely. I just don't see the Knicks trying to get Lonzo to pair him with his brother.
Nah, they
I,
won't. But I don't.
yeah, I don't.
But I don't think LaMelo needs that though. I really don't. I think LaMelo needs to just be in a system and develop by himself. I just like like what you said about Pistons. When you brought up the top five, I realized like the Pistons and the Knicks are top five, the top two for me, and then you have the Wolves. Actually, no. I'm sorry. Man, the yeah, it's really just the Knicks and the Bulls, Knicks and the Pistons for me, man. But yeah, The only team capable of bringing in Lonzo would probably be the Bulls.
Yeah, I can see that.
That because they'd be able to trade out Levine for like a pick or two, and then be able to get LaMelo with one of those picks and be able to get Lonzo, next year. So, and that would make sense.
Brother, I feel bad for Lonzo, man. This is the wrong time to not play good because that's really messing up his bag, man.
Oh man, it's
Man,
bad.
we didn't even bring it up.
It's bad because you're like, I just, man, it's just so bad because you're like, I saw what you were doing in the middle of the year. You were like bringing this team, like the team goes where he goes sometimes. Like if he plays mediocre, that team is going to play mediocre. And if he plays really good, the team usually ends up like winning the game. Like this showed how important Lonzo is to me, I think, for a team. Really important. Because if Lonzo's not shooting the threes, Lonzo's not getting the assist, and they let Jrue Holiday, and that's another annoying thing. That's a pet peeve I have. Jrue Holiday needs to stop playing the fucking point guard. He's not a point guard. It's getting tiring. I know people are saying, well, he can dribble the ball at least. He's just not a good point guard.
Yeah, when Jrue Holiday is actually playing a shooting guard, being a shooting guard, defending the best players, his numbers are better. The analytics point that out. But when he's trying to be the point guard and do all these behind the back passes, turning the ball over, I hate the crap.
Yeah. The reason I hate when Jrue Holiday plays point guard, because he usually kind of takes the ball away from BI. And it always ends up going to Derrick Favors for like a simple layup because, Jrue Holiday always gets to the basket. And another thing I hate is when Jrue Holiday decides to shoot the ball. Like, there's better shooters around you. Like, why are you shooting the ball? Like, a transition three from Jrue Holiday is the most annoying thing to watch. But at the same time, he's the best defender on that team, and he at least tries to go up for a layup, you know?
Yeah, man. I feel bad for BI, man. If I'm BI,
I
I
wouldn't believe
usually don't say this. I would love him to play with Lonzo, but this team, man, this coach, if they keeping Alvin Gentry, man, I'm out. You know how many teams BI can uh, help with his skill set?
he can help a lot. Like that, the problem is that they try so hard to like create this Jrue Holiday Zion thing. Like those are the two players that they kind of push out Bi. Like beginning of the year, they lost a lot of games because they were trying to have Jrue Holiday close games, but every time Bi was the guy you got to pass to. Why are you not giving it to your best scorer on your team all of the time when you're in bad moments? Shit annoys me, man. And like Bi could dribble, he could take it down the court. I know Bi is a little bit of a ball hog, but like, come on, man. Like, why is Zion getting this special treatment even when he's out of shape? Like Zion, this whole year has been bad on defense, but no one addresses this shit.
It's the weirdest thing. Zion, and I love Zion's potential, but he's the only player I've ever seen that never criticized his game at all. It's weird.
That is weird.
His
It's weird.
defense is the worst out of a lot of big men that started.
The defense he plays is like what people think like LaMelo is. Like LaMelo defense is what he's doing. I was shocked by that because he's not playing. He's not doing anything well at all at the rim, like playing the perimeter. He's just not good at defense at all.
Man, I'm telling you, man, it would not surprise me. I'm speaking about Brandon Ingram. It would not surprise me if he goes to the Knicks, like, or any other Eastern Conference team that just need one piece
DJ,
to
don't do that.
set
They
it
need
off.
the Knicks with Tom Thibodeau, Brandon Ingram. He's gonna get all the minutes. The people talking about the minutes, he's gonna get all the minutes. I want Bi, Gallinari, LaMelo, R.J. Barrett, and Mitchell Robinson. I'm cool
Oh
with
boy, I
I'm
like that. I like
I
that.
need that because you got yourself a great defender a good defender in R.J. Barrett and Mitchell Robinson, and you got two shooters like really efficient type scorers, and Gallinari and Bi, and maybe LaMelo might be that type of scorer in year two, but
Mm-hmm.
they need that, man. They need that. I feel bad for Bi. He needs to get out of there. There's nothing there. They're not making him a priority, man. Not at all. It's obvious. Like if they made Bi a priority, they would win a lot of those games. A lot of those games would yesterday's game would be won if they had made Bi a priority in the fourth.
Exactly. And here's the thing. To offshoot the Lonzo, the Knicks could get Lonzo and LaMelo. I don't see it. If the Knicks get anybody, it's going to be a score. They already got LaMelo, who is a facilitator, but he has scoring ability. You get what I mean? Like he's aggressive with it. He fits the new NBA. So they're not going to put two uh, passing point guards on the same roster. I just don't see the Knicks doing that. Well, Worldwide West and Leon Rose, they're smart guys. They know who they need to get. They're going to target BI. They're going to target extra scores. They're already solidified with Mitchell Robinson. I'm telling you right now. I know a lot of people are down the dumps on the Knicks, but the people that they've hired are just, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, you hear the news today? They actually are starting to hire, player developers, which they surprisingly weren't had. Like they had a few, but they weren't prioritizing that. Which I was like, what the hell?
I saw that, bro. I'm like, wow, this is not a Knicks move.
And that's why, wow, it's crazy, man. And I'm actually happy that the Knicks, and I know this is from the Pelicans, but I have to be happy about something, that at least the organization is actually changing and not, David Griffin changing, like where he hypes up everything that he does. Like at least they're actually changing something, They stole a pick from Clippers for Marquise, I don't even know his name. One of the twins.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we got a 27th pick. All the Knicks need is a stretch four who could play a little bit of defense, a shooter, just a capable shooter. Then we just need two okay bench players. Frank Ntilikina as a bench player is a good player. So I feel like we have.
Agree. I said I agree with you.
But that's the thing. I want to make sure people think I'm hard on Frank, but I just hate Frank's stance. That's all. But I think that's just a good team, and that's why I'm just so set on my ways with the hype that the Pelicans got. I'm just upset because as a Knicks fan, I know the Knicks would not get that hype. I know if the Knicks got Zion, we wouldn't have gotten the same love like how David Griffin got. We would have probably been like, wow, they're losing with Zion. They would have changed. The narrative would have been wild.
I know a lot of people get on the Knicks, but they can't tell me with Leon Rose and Worldwide West, the whole situation would have been handled differently with Zion. The Pelicans baby Zion, they're secretive, and that's why people keep just keep it real with people. Stop beating around the bush with Zion, because they're messing up his development, and I'm just sick of the shit, man. I'm sick of it.
It's weird. It's disgusting because it's why not have Zion play with Lonzo? Why have Zion be next to Derrick Favors, who can't shoot at all, who can't stretch the floor? And let's not talk about just Zion's defense. Derrick Favors' defense is shitty. I don't know what all these fake people saying Derrick Favors is a really good defender is. He probably was at one time, but not this year. I have not seen it at all. Anytime he plays a capable big man, it's like he can't get a layup. He's just looks so tiny. Man, gosh, man. I don't know, man. I'm just going through it right now. But yeah,
bro, I'm gonna say something. This may piss off Pelican fans, but I don't care. You know me, I'm raw and cut true. The Knicks' future looks brighter than the Pelicans right now, from what I've seen, and they didn't even play. But I know what the Knicks are about to do. Look at those 3 picks. So after they, and I really think they're gonna get LaMelo no matter what. After they get LaMelo, the 17th pick, they got good options. They could get Kira Lewis from Alabama. He's an explosive scorer, provides bench scoring, or
They have the
hey, if he
27,
could,
not
that's
17.
good. They got 27 pick, right?
But I feel like like they got the 27. So,
Okay, I thought they had 3 first round picks.
but it doesn't, like, you're right. It doesn't matter because the funny thing about this draft is there's so many quality, but they can get Killian Tilly in the
Yep.
second round. They can get themselves a Jalen Smith. They can get themselves a Patrick Williams. They can get themselves a capable shooting big, a 4. They can get quality players, like you said. And that the problem with, I think, the draft, the Pelicans are really bad at drafting. And this draft pointed that out a lot. Like the draft, you remember the draft, right? When Jackson Hayes came out of Texas Tech. No, not Texas
No,
Tech.
the Texas.
Longhorn.
Mm-hmm.
Longhorn. He was already known as a guy who was terrible at rebounding the ball. He could block some shots, but he was already known as a guy who was terrible at rebounding the ball. You could have gotten Brandon Clark. You could have failed on, like, you could have traded down and, like, tried to get some quality starters. There were a lot of people that you could have gotten. You could have gotten Cam Reddish. Shit. And you could have gotten Bol. Like, they picked some unknown guy in the second, and Bol was there. They could have gotten all of these players. And in the free agency, they still could have traded for, like, a big man.
Man, don't forget people were telling me, the Pelican fanboys were telling me that Jackson Hayes got a higher ceiling than freaking Cam Reddish, which is ludicrous. I can't believe they were telling me this.
Yeah,
But this is how idiotic people don't know about basketball. Cam Reddish, if a couple of years from now, people are gonna say, "Man, that's probably the best player in the draft." I wouldn't be surprised.
the reason they say that is because they're stat watches. Like, the thing about people is they don't look at the type of shots a player takes. They look
Mm-hmm.
at the numbers. Like, so with Brandon Ingram, they were like, "Oh, Brandon Ingram's horrible." Even though we knew the second year Brandon got better, he was taking difficult shots. He was, turnaround jump. Like, he had skills that no one on that team had, the dribble moves. But everyone just looked at stats and that was it. That's why when they see Jackson Hayes, they look at his BMP, BIPM. They go like, "Wow, that looks great. His numbers are high. His analytics show that he's an impactful player." Okay, he's a big man that's going to the NBA. That's a problem. Big men in college that when they go to the NBA usually don't fare well because it's a different game. They're playing guys who are like 300 pounds, like big dudes. 250. I'm sorry, I'm overdoing it, but just big dudes. 200, 250. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things where people don't think in reality and they always stat watch. And you notice this too with people. Like, they'll go like, "Well, LaMelo shoots 25% three." It's like, okay.
Wow. Yeah, they are stat watchers. Don't watch the game. Like for LaMelo, they'll see, the shots and stuff, but they don't realize when his teammates are catching the ball, finishing, the stats are good, the plays efficient. Do you know that? You probably already know this. LaMelo shoots 40% from three when he's not taking erratic shots. I've
Yeah.
been saying that the whole time, but they're like, "Oh, uh he's gonna shoot like that." It's a simple fix, really, on shot selection. Because sometimes you know how Lamelo is.
Yeah.
He'll get three threes going, and he gonna take 15 of those things to
You know,
finish the game.
you know what's crazy though? This one guy pointed it out, and he pointed out, well, I wish I could give him credit, but he says the percentages don't really matter to a point, as long as, because what really matters to a point guard is you have to trick your opponent to try to get you. The reason why a person like Lonzo's percentages and Trey, like, Lonzo shoots better than Trey percentage wise, but the reason why people like Trey's a better shooter is because Trey, when he moves the ball, you have to run after him. He moves around the court. You know what I'm saying? Lonzo's kind of a stationary shooter, so it's like he's not really impacting like a lot of space for other people. Like he does the simple stuff, but like Trey is different. And that's why like, when I see LaMelo's dribbling moves, the opponents have to try to get him. If they force him into having to double team him and they'll make a nice pass, like that is the difference. Like LaMelo takes difficult shots, which force opponents to have to actually try to guard him. Which is why, like you said, stats are bullshit. And like when he shoots like catch and shoot threes, he's a 40% shoot. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
And that's yeah.
Oh, I would say this before I go, man.
Yeah.
What's your observation on Alvin Gentry? You think he coming back? And if he comes back to the Pelicans, you think Bi leaving? Because if I'm in Bi's shoes, I wouldn't come back to a team that has a GM like Griff, who's apathetic, that just doesn't know how to utilize a great player's game. They never treat Bi like he's the best player, and his skill and his talent and his work that he's put in shows it.
I'm gonna be honest. They're not gonna fire Alvin Gentry. They're gonna have the most excuses in the book already prepared. They're not gonna fire him. They're gonna be like, well, Zion was injured. He was off. It was the way of like, it didn't work out for you. Blah blah blah. That's how it's going on. Wait up, DJ. I gotta go. So it's just thanks for letting me talk, man.
Oh, absolutely, man. And
Yeah.
we'll do this again, bro.
All
Peace
right.
out.
Peace.